Rag Magazine is one of the new magazines that have debuted in the last few years that focuses on women builders, writers, and adventurers. Today on Do You Even Chopper Magazine, we talk to Rag Mag founder and head honcho Alexa Rohn. We talk about the magazine, finding community, and life in Northern California. You are listening to Do You Even Chopper? Hey Alexa, thanks for joining us on Do You Even Chopper? Question mark podcast. Uh, what I wanted to ask, it's always awkward how to start off a podcast, but what I wanted to ask was, what was the initial moment you were like, ooh, choppers?
Gosh, I'm not even sure. And I'm not even sure I chopper. I was thinking about that today, that argument of like, if it has a swing arm, is it even a chopper? And I keep thinking about that because it's like the sticker that Bad Gasoline makes. It says the swing arm keeps my tits perky. So I have some swing arm choppers that I would call choppers. I don't know what really hit me. I grew up riding with my family. My dad rode, my mom ended up riding. I was on the back of both of their bikes, and they were just fully baggered out. I inherited my dad's bike, and it was just chrome on everything, big old bags, just beast coming down the road. And I think, I mean, I was exposed to like Orange County choppers on TV and being like,
Oh
who are
yeah.
these Who's? And that didn't do it for me. I think it was when I got out west and I started seeing these long, lean, like narrow lane splitting bikes that it started to click for me because to me they look like the high heel of bikes. Like the lines on them are just so appealing
Hmm.
that really switched something over for me. And it probably helps that I married a clown who's been in the chopper world for a very, very long time, and he would let me ride his pink Ironhead chopper around Nashville, and it started to sink in. Like, what did I want my bike to look like when I inherited my dad's bagger? I was like, take friggin' everything off. How do we make this lighter, leaner, cuter, in air quotes, and just make the lines more interesting? And I think it was like a slow burn for me.
So
It
you
took
moved from Nashville to Northern California. You don't have to say where it is, but which, you know, Nashville, kind of a blue dot in a red state, right? And you live in kind of well, it might be a bluish dot, but everything around it's kind of a red dot in a blue state. And I don't want to get political or anything, but I just want to know what your sense of community was in Nashville, and did it shift or change when you moved to a more rural town in Northern California?
probably yes. And we did have a layover in Reno on the way back to Northern California. I had a funny experience when I was in Nashville, actually. I was working in the corporate world at the time, and I lived in this like artist community. It was one of the oldest apartment buildings in Nashville. It was originally a warehouse right downtown, right on Second Street, just off of Broadway. So we're in the thick of it. It would be hard to get home from work when the CMTs and
Hmm.
all the country music things were happening. And while I was living there, we kind of just all hung out. We'd have beers and grill every day. And I took a sober month. I've been sober for like 7.5 years now, but I took a sober month when I lived in that like sober October for fun. I realized I didn't like any of my friends. The only thing we had in common was that we drank together. And I think that was part of why we ended up moving to Reno is we might be a little more on the conservative side for California, but for Tennessee, we are like bleeding hippie liberal crazy people. Like we're more in like the gun-toting libertarian area of California now. But I mean, Nashville's gorgeous. The music is fantastic, but it's still like racist, sexist, and homophobic. And that didn't really fit. So I didn't feel like I really found my community there. I had people I liked. We would like some tattoo artists and motorcyclists and chopper people that we would hang out with here and there when we had time. But I never found like the tribe there. And Reno, fabulous place for motorcycles. The weather's always great. You can ride up to Virginia City. We eloped in Virginia City,
Oh,
just like
wow.
hour-long motorcycle ride up into the mountains. It's super easy at the courthouse.
Yeah.
It's such a great area for bikes because it's always dry and it's always sunny. And there's a great community of motorcyclists there. I think that's where Gypsy One, Amanda, who has that pussy wagon, that pink chopper, that's fantastic, and her partner live there. So there's a great little community there. But I feel like now that we're back in Northern California, we're out back in Nevada County, it's we really settled into our people here. This area especially, we have such a funny little hot spot of chopper folks. We've got Crispy in town, we've got all sorts of moto people around,
Yeah. Death
and
traps.
yeah, and I mean, I was just talking to Bandita. I just interviewed her a couple days ago for the Ton, so that will be in a future issue. We just chatted, and she's like near here. Amanda Spastiani, who does DTR Ridecast, she's in Sacramento. So there's all
Mhm.
these really wonderful people up here, and I had never where we live now in the country. I had been here like twice before we decided to move here at the beginning of the pandemic when everything was going to hell in a handbasket. And I was like, I don't know, it feels right. And it's been like coming home because the weather's great. It's the middle of, I would say, January right now. It's what, January 19th when we're recording this, and it was 70 degrees today.
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
running errands on my motorcycle. I've got like really good helmet hair, which only you get to enjoy. It's not a podcast medium to have helmet hair. But yeah, I think that we always find our community, and it tends to be around, the tattoo artists, the choppers, the people who have those things, those like lifelong creatives and
Yeah.
goofballs. Just find those people, but I definitely feel it
Well, and
here
you're
in.
in a place that a lot of hippies escaped to, started
Yeah,
communes, had kids.
100%.
Kind of, it's a different Northern California than some other areas. Uh,
Very much so. I mean, we're in the entertainment industry in our like, our muggle jobs, and we jokingly call this the end up because so many people from the entertainment world, from LA, from San Francisco, are ending up here in the mountains
oh
because it's
yeah,
a nice place to end up. I mean, just to go for a ride. Living in Nashville, if I wanted to go on a ride, I had to get out of downtown Nashville, and I was a brand new rider. Like that's where I
yeah,
took my motorcycle safety course was in Nashville. So it was just like, I am tight from like sphincter to the top of my head trying to get out of town
well,
because
and
there's
then
just
that highway, is it 40 that's like kind of does
circles
a
it.
circle and everything? It's psychotic.
Chaos.
It's
People there
like,
drive crazy. They're not used to traffic. Like LA traffic has like a rhythm to it and
yeah,
people are just used to traffic, but in Nashville people are so mad that traffic exists that they are just like bless your heart all over the place. They will run you off the road. So
yeah,
to be able to leave my driveway now and be on just like curving mountain roads, I feel very spoiled. I
yeah.
feel very good about it.
So when you found your community, and I'm talking like big picture community, not like a micro community. When did that kind of start pivoting to the thought of I need to do a magazine, and then when that kind of was that thought about starting the magazine tied to the like drive of what the magazine content was, or did you say I need to do a magazine and then kind of figure out the drive of the content after that?
That's a good question. I feel like it was a little bit of all of the above, and maybe some of like some other curveball, because I've always loved publishing and indie periodicals. Like I have a 2 foot wide shelf that is just full of weird, different indie magazines. There's like Off Screen, if you like, Ethical Tech or Suspira, which is all like spooky
Oh
stuff. And
yeah,
there's all of these amazing like indie mags. Like the Quite Delightful Project was amazing. It was like smut by women for women. Like there's
hmm,
just so much cool stuff out there in that medium. And so I was already drawn to that. And it kind of just coalesced around and it was in Reno when I started the project. And I think it just came together because it was these things, the thing that I'd always loved and the thing that I really wanted to explore, oh, I want to do some sort of like publishing project. And then I was falling in love with choppers and with riding and that whole experience. And it just felt like such a natural thing. I think because go to swap meets, there's old easy riders everywhere. I've seen all of the in the wind and every one of those. And I never I never saw the stories I really wanted to know because I would meet these really badass chicks and be like, whoa, tell me about this. And all the women that I know who ride are just so fascinating to me. I just, worship at the altar of their stories some days when I'm like, okay, girl, tell me that story about when you like low-sided a bike under a truck in Vietnam. Tell me again. Like I want to hear. And so it was I think it was that craving to be like, I want to know what she's doing. I want to know what this girl's doing. And then it's the perfect excuse. Like I enjoy creating in that medium and I want to ask these women that question. And it gives me a perfect excuse just to reach out and be like, hey babe, like, what's your story? Like, what's your deal? Tell me about this bike. What happened? And that I think is what kind of the engine that drives it is just that curiosity to be like, what's going on?
What do you think it would be the unique challenge of doing a women-focused motorcycle magazine compared to something more broadly applicable, kind of more mass culture in some ways. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it because it's not mass culture, but um, less
Yeah,
less defined in its editorial kind of direction.
right. It's like the niche within the niche.
Oh yeah. Well, and then it's like the niche within the niche of the niche if you're doing choppers too, like you're just
Exactly.
slicing away readers. But
Like, yeah, we're just filing them off. I've got like six people that are really interested somewhere out there. I'm not, I think it might reduce it, but there's this idea of 1,000 true fans. And they say is that if you can find 1,000 people who are willing to pay to support your art, you can support yourself on that in some way. And whether or not that's true in publishing is yet to be seen because the margins on publishing is like, wow, this is a really expensive hobby dressed up as a pseudo business. Okay. But I don't know. I could have started a blog. I could have just done, I don't know, a Substack is the thing nowadays, but I wanted something tangible
Mm.
because I like that you can then be like, here, I read this, check it out, or here I made this, check it out. And, I'm not a purist with only choppers for rag. That is, the chopper builds obviously are in every magazine because those are or every issue, because those are what really fascinate me is that
Mm.
process
Oh,
and
okay.
women learning these skills that are often not commonly our thing.
Yeah.
And because I'm always end up obsessed with like a woman who's ridden around the world. Every time I'm like, whoa, tell me about that. And then a woman who or non-binary, whatever. Someone who's built a chopper, yeah, tell me about that. Someone
Yeah.
who's doing cool motorcycle art, oh hell yeah, tell me about that. And so these things are just interesting. And if I do issue some readers, okay, so be it. Maybe it's not for them, but I do find, I sell it in person a lot at swap meets or like we were just at Paradise Roadshow. And guys will open it. I mean, girls get it right away. They're like, hell yeah, I want to read about these gals. And then, but guys will sometimes pick it up and be like, not sure. I don't really put the women on the cover yet. I'm still trying to decide if I should, do cover babes or not. That's a question for another day.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's one of those weird ones, right? Where like you you don't want to sell the magazine based on like
babe,
society's idea of attractive like gender norms, right?
yeah,
But you also want to feature that person in a highlighted way because you're really excited to tell their story.
exactly. It's babes on bikes. Like there's this, I think about this a lot lately because I'm finishing up issue 3 right now. And I'm like, well, do I put the babe on the front or do I just show the detail shot of the bike and let that draw people in? And I'm still playing with that. Who knows? It'll probably be different like 6 issues from now. But I think that what I see a lot is people be like, oh, once they realize what it is, they'll say, "Oh, I want to get a copy of this for my old lady. She's been curious about riding," or "I've always wanted her to think about getting her own."
Mm,
Because there was that underlying thought or motivation that I want to create something for the women who don't think that they can do it. Because if you're a woman who rides, I cannot tell you how many times I've been sitting on my bike, like I just parked somewhere, like up at Virginia City Roundup, or like during Rolling Thunder, whatever those chopper events are. You park your bike, you're taking off your helmet, you're getting part settled, and a woman will walk up to me and be like, "You are such a badass." I'm like, "Honey, you can be too. Have you heard of the motorcycle safety course? Because it is great. It is fun. You can wreck someone else's bike and then you just learn. Like, go do it. What do you have to lose? It'll make you a better passenger, even if you never pick up your own." But I think that, I want to, every time I show these women, like they're so badass, but it's also so accessible. Every one of us at some point had to pick up a bike and be like, well, this scares the pants off me, but I guess I'll do it anyways.
yeah.
And maybe it's not for everyone, but I do know that, women riders is like one of the fastest growing markets.
Well, it's certainly the fastest growing market, like
Yeah, we
data.
are picking it up. Ladies are in. We are tired of surfing the pee pad. I want to be in charge.
Yeah,
I
let's
still,
design something intrinsically uncomfortable and then anyway,
yeah.
let's
Do
not
you want
digress.
to assault your coochie for a while and not be in charge? You could sit on the back, or you can be in charge and smell all the things and go where you want to go. I like both though. I'll still ride on the back if it's convenient, or like if we only take one bike. I'm not too proud to rock the P pad. It's nice because you can just kind of space out back there, but there's a lot of extremely uncomfortable back seats out there.
Oh yeah. Uh, there's a few other magazines that are kind of similar curation, like, you know, female and non-binary
Mhm.
kind of curation. And there's been other ones, and they kind of stop and start. There's some longevity issues to it. Have you had the experience of any kind of weird like competitiveness, or is it kind of everyone trying to help each other? You want to picture a perfect world where people are helping each other in publishing rather than competitiveness, but it is a world that I only equate to similar to a music scene in some ways, where like people say they'll help each other, and some people actually do it. And this is just with our magazine, and then other people like are super competitive and weird about things. And I just wonder if that's like universal or if it gets worse, or kind of what that experience is like for starting up a magazine and also keeping one going in the early stages when you have other people doing similar thoughts.
Right. I've only had an experience of co-opetition so far, like
That's
yourself with the
awesome.
time. I've had nothing but wonderful experiences. Like when Sam, who's doing Dark Horse magazine
Oh
now,
yeah,
is her last name Andreessen? I don't know. Sam's amazing. What a babe. Um, and because she
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I didn't know your magazine existed. I thought there wasn't one." I was like, "There is one. Let's have two.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, do you want to do a co-party?" I think that I have found nothing but wonderful reception for anything with the women's motorcycle community. In
Oh, that's
general,
awesome.
everyone that I have met, and maybe I've just been really lucky and haven't met the rude the rude ones yet, is we've just been like welcoming and wonderful. And I think that, there's this thing where people can be real chopular, and I was feeling like a little bit in my head before going to Paradise Roadshow. I get in my head a little bit before that one every time because it's very like LA. Everyone is so styled and so cool and so neat. And I was like, God, everyone is so cool. What the heck? And I had to kind of retrain my brain to be like, Alexa, you look cool too. It's okay. Most of these people are just like insecure people LARPing as like badass blue collar guys. Like we're all insecure on the inside. And then I get there and everyone is so nice, so cool, so friendly, so warm. And I'm sure there were some dicks. I didn't run into them. And so I think that in general, my experience has been in all of the motorcycle community has been warm and welcoming. But I know that there are There are pockets that are not like that. And I have run into that, especially at bigger shows or like probably I would say in the chop maybe I don't know if you've had this experience. I feel like the chopper world, all chopularness aside, can be more welcoming and friendly to me at least than sometimes like the big bike worlds where you get
Yeah.
like, get on the bike, honey. You want to take a picture on my bike? Like, oh,
Yeah, it's
you're
an
like
interesting thing there.
buying
Like
it? Oh.
we we do a couple big shows. Like we do Born Free, but that's a chopper show. We used to do One Moto, but frankly, it got so tiring by guys being like, "You really should do baggers. You'd sell more copies and choppers are cool, but you're gonna need to go see a chiropractor. You should do adventure bikes and all, and I'm doing like a really derogatory sounding voice for anyone who's like that. But they're all assholes because it's like, why are you shitting on what we do and telling us what we should do rather than just being like, oh, this isn't for me and just keep fucking walking like a normal human being. But
Yeah.
um there is a lot of that, and I think that there's a sense in like the bigger bike world in quotes
Hmm.
that there's some people who want to be part of it as an industry
Yeah.
and and because you're the niche of the niche of the niche, right? You're like custom motorcycles niche, choppers niche. You're like slivering down so much that while there is, oh fuck, I made a sound. While there is industry around choppers, it's not industry with a capital I in the same way as like stock bikes or new bikes or anything like that, or
Yeah.
and the industry, a lot of it is more driven on individually family owned company, even bigger family owned companies. Most people in choppers are getting some part or screw or something from lowbrow, but that's
Oh,
deal with
brow.
lowbrow, you're dealing
Brows.
with like multiple people of the same family, and then the people they employ in their local community. They're a success story about it. So it's a different kind of idea of that industry. And because of that, um, people are stoked when they see people starting to come around more or get more successful. At least in my experience, you do get people who are like, want to be the cool, like, cosplayer about it all, who make assumptions about stuff, but that's like their own baggage. And it's not kind of this like across the board enculturated thing that you kind of get with people who want to they want to get on the YouTube channel reviewing
Right.
a Harley when it first comes out right now, but like
Yeah.
with publications and other things for choppers, like they could probably give two shits. Like I love Harley Davidson, and if they said, "Hey Tim, do you want to ride our new motorcycle?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, fine," but I'm not going to guarantee coverage or anything in my magazine for it because who the fuck would read the ton and be like, "I'm going to go buy the 2026 Lowrider ST right now," because that's not what our deal is. Like our deal is pretty much choppers. We've had a few swing arm bikes. Um, and that says as someone who rides, I have choppers and I have Harleys and Triumphs and I have a lowrider S that I love, and because I also like my tailbone sometimes, and sometimes I like to be a little patted daddy. Like it's just the way
That
it
is
fucking
daddy.
is,
Oh my
man. But
God.
like it's just a different world in that regard, and even like some of the people that other people have been like, that guy thinks he's the coolest or whatever, it's like, you're just projecting your own insecurity on that guy. That guy is a pretty nice person when you actually talk to him, or like the content you think is serious is them fucking off and you just
Oh,
haven't
like
caught on to that.
Storm Riders, Taylor, like if you don't realize that's a joke, like because we know him, he's local to us, so we're like all buddies, and oh my God, it is. I could just pee myself laughing. It's so funny, and but maybe I'm small enough to be insulated from it because I have seen Axel do like the comment reviews
Oh,
on
well, yeah.
content, and they are vile. Like what hole did these creatures crawl out of, and who gave them a keyboard?
Well,
So I know
YouTube is
that's
really,
how
really, 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 really toxic in
YouTube.
that regard. And I mean, all social media is toxic in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a necessary tool for a business, but it's a fucking awful tool. But the culture around commenting on YouTube is so fucked up. And I
It's
mean, how do you
wild.
moderate it when you get it in any level, like on Instagram or anything, or do you just not get it? Like you might be lucky.
I mean, I'll get some, Mark and I are throwing the that chopper event Donner Party Picnic at the end of July. And I've started to notice here and there some interesting things because we're starting to get more traction. But because it's not your grandpa's chopper show. We have drag and
Oh
burlesque and
yeah,
this stuff. And
they're
someone
gonna.
was like, drag racing or drag queens. And I was like, I hope you're saying that because you like queens because it's queens. I mean,
I
we all
hope
know
it's
space
both.
drag
Like,
racing. I
right?
would
Like
do both. I wish it
I
was
would
both.
rather see a drag queen drag race
I,
just to fucking press squares buttons.
I would
That'd
love
be
that.
amazing.
I mean, yes, I would love it to be both. I think Brown would be really mad at us. We do have a sound curfew, and we'll have a lake this time, but like we were doing slow riding and
Oh
some of the
yeah.
things. So we don't have a track for drag racing, but we have queens and we have clowns and weird things and but I'm starting to see it over there.
Mm.
And I think that I don't know, if you're just being sold to motorcyclists in our area, then we're gonna get the whole spread
Oh
and
yeah.
there's a lot of people who haven't been exposed to these kind of things yet. Like we think of ourselves as like the yoga and kombucha chopper kind of people, not the like, I don't know, baggers and Monster Energy drink, not to like stereotype people, but we have a, I don't know, different world for it. We're
You're in
hippies a little
fucking
bit.
Nevada County, man.
Hey, we're
Like,
crunchy as fuck out here.
like,
Sorry, do I have to beep that?
yeah. No, I mean,
Family
I don't
show.
give a shit.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a very Nevada County is so crunchy. I mean, you could throw a tennis ball and hit three yoga teachers in town and like it's keeps rolling past them. So
Yeah.
it's just that area. And California in general, if you're thinking of like the greater swath of the United States. I've lived in like 10 or 11 states all over top to bottom of the United States and they're all like a different flavor.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the left coast now, as my family says. But
The way we deal with it, we'll get people say shit, and especially like, a lot of people don't realize like for a long time, the first article out of every issue, the first thing you see is a women builder or writer or story, right? And this
yeah,
even predates our collaboration, which I'm really happy about. Um, we'll get people say shit and like misogynist shit, and we'll just like screen grab that shit, throw it in our stories, call them out and block them because like at the end of the day, like if you're coming at people that are just talking about motorcycles and throwing your baggage on them, you're the fucking asshole. Like people need
yeah,
to know you're the asshole. And I miss the day when people would just keep their fucking shit opinions to themselves and just keep walking or riding. Like you could be an asshole. That's fine. I don't give a fuck what you think. Like, but
but
the
keep it to
moment you start
yourself.
putting it on to me, then I care. Like, just
Yeah,
don't fucking say anything. Like, mind your own fucking business, like any normal person would, until you got all keyboard ninja-y, and then it wouldn't happen.
you need
Um,
to watch Bambi and remember what Thumper says. My mother reminds me all the time, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. It would be
yeah.
lovely, but that's not how algorithms work, I guess.
And Thumper's the one who had a bunch of kids and lived forever. He didn't watch his parents die.
Thumper was doing something right. Yeah, who knows? It's a weird world on the internet. I have a lot of tension around that as a creative because I prefer things that I can touch and manipulate, whether it's fabric or, paper when I'm publishing, but it's necessary to be on these platforms. And many years ago, 10 years or so, I was doing social media in the corporate world for a Fortune 500 healthcare company, and it burned me out, but it means that I know how to do it really well, but it also feels really challenging. Like I have to
Yeah,
keep my phone on black and white at all time because my brain cannot be trusted with this little slot machine in my pocket because I have other things that I want to be doing with my life. I want to
yeah.
go ride my bike. I want to go play in the yard. I want to plant something, talk to my chickens. I don't know, anything but be in a wormhole on my phone.
Yeah.
'Cause it doesn't make me feel good. You come out of that fugue state and you're like, wow, I just looked at like 75 cool bike things that other people are doing when I could have been riding. And
Yeah.
so I have to be really mindful. And then, I end up like not going on Instagram for a month and a half and logging back on and being like, wait, I don't even know how to make a post anymore. I moved it again.
Yeah. Well, and then it also creates this whole like almost fear of missing out or keeping up with the Johnsons or any of those like psychological things, right? Where it's like you're disassociating yourself from your real activity in real life and putting more value in like a fake version of it. And it's like almost like some people are like they feel like they have to document the high point or what will look like the high point of an experience so other people will see it and validate it rather than just live through the experience and have fun, right? So that's kind of the beauty of long rides or rides in general is like, you know, gas station photos suck. Like,
There's so many.
the riding itself is the fun part and you do have people take videos or photos once in a while on it, but it's like that's like a micro sliver of the entire enjoyable experience, and that's kind of the beauty and weird delicate balance of like motorcycles and social media.
Yeah, you'll never get the smells. You'll never realize like the good
No.
and the bad. You'll never be like, whoa, what was that? Was that like night blooming jasmine as you're going down into a dip and the temperature cools and you're like, whoa, what did you
Yeah.
in your head? Because obviously you're talking to yourself because nobody else is in there. You're like, whoa, did you smell that? I
Or
love it.
the feeling of when it's like damp and foggy. Right? And
Yeah.
you can feel it in your hands and gloves, but you know you're almost there, and you know that the moment you get like coffee or something at wherever you're stopping, and you're gonna hold it, and then you're like, you get that real stinging sensation in your hands, and then your brain's like, "Fuck it, let's get back on the bike and go more." Which,
100%.
you fully know you're gonna be doing that every hour or two, but you don't have that looking at a phone, right? You don't have
No.
like the like understanding or feeling of that at looking at someone's photo or video.
No, nor in a car. It's just not the same. And I feel like something I think about a lot, especially because I'm in a written a written medium with storytelling and maybe yourself as well, is that motorcycles are really these like engines for stories. Because what I notice so often is when I get together with motorcyclists, it's story time. Like
Hmm.
we did what's that one that was in Bisbee, the Prowl. We went to the
Oh yeah,
Prowl. And it gives you something to talk about, not just because you're like, because hey, hi, socially awkward here. I'm a strange person, and it's hard for me to like know what to talk to with people. But you
yeah,
get there, you're like, oh, cool bike. Let me ask you about your bike. And then you just create these bonds because you're telling stories of like the adventure and like the quest that you went on to get there. Like, maybe you're on a 9 over Springer and it's 35-mile-per-hour cross breeze on the I-10, and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, the whole way. Hi, that was me. I was not happy on my just vibrating the heck and back on my Sportster. But it's these stories that are so connecting because by
Hmm.
the time you show up there, you've probably got a story. Maybe you were the one on the side of the road. Maybe you're the one who saw when riding down to the Aces High show in Reno, I like go by and I see like 8 badass choppers on the side of the freeway. And I was like, wait, those are my friends.
yeah.
And
Which
someone
one
texted me
broke
like,
down?
oh, we saw you go. I'm like, oh man, who was it? But I think those stories are what make it so easy to connect around motorcycles. I mean,
Hmm.
especially choppers, because we're always on the side of the road. So there's just this engine of connection because wherever we go, by the time we're there, we have something to talk about. Whether
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God, it was so cold, I had my hand stuck in the engine block to try to feel my fingers, or whatever that is. And I think as humans, especially nowadays, we really crave that
yeah,
because we have so many parasocial relationships that that deep connection and that ability to like just sit around and have a beverage and swap stories isn't something we get to do nearly enough. Like how often do we go to restaurants or out and you see everyone's like on their phone at dinner with their partner and you're like, what? Like tell a
information
story.
access is a real interesting thought to think about, and even with choppers, like someone said, "Oh, did you see so and so's bike?" And it's like, it's an Instagram story that someone saw and shared with me and whatever. And the thought that like you could instantly see, you know, Jack or Jill's bike in Indonesia the moment they unveil it is such a different thing than like having to wait. And even if anyone ever takes a photo of it, it getting into a magazine or something like that, it's kind of crazy. We, I don't know how old you are, but people around my age are, born pre-internet. There was only three channels on TV. Everyone watched and consumed the same stuff
Mhm.
in the mainstream, and then everything else was counterculture. So
Yeah.
Easy Riders, counterculture, right? Even a lot of the chopper films that everyone thinks everyone has seen, those were like second or third on a bill at a drive-in that only freaks stayed out to watch.
What's
So
the one with the
connections
Mr. America bike?
connections are so there's so much hegemony in
Right.
content before, and connections are so much easier in that way. And now that there's no like hegemony in content anymore, and it's so ubiquitous and so accessible, your ability to connect in a human level with it is totally different. And that's, I think, the impetus for us about doing magazines, is that to kind of bring back some of that like tangible connection of storytelling, of
Yeah, and curation
sharing,
too.
creation.
Yeah, because we get to curate something too. Because you're really sitting with it. Like I hope that my magazine lives on the back of the toilet and that people just keep coming back again and again and or other better places, who knows? More sanitary places. Like so people keep coming in and actually reading the stories and getting into them. And because it's funny, I had never seen, I know the Frida bike was all over the place doing things before I met her. I met the bike before I met Katie, the same
Oh
year.
yeah.
I took all these pictures of that bike because I was like, this is sick. When she's on the cover of issue 2. And then a little later that weekend at Chopper Fest, I met Katie and I was like, that's your bike. Yeah, cool. There's so many people that I know by their bikes before them,
Yeah.
not people I've seen on the internet. I mean, maybe I would see them, but I have this guy, I'm even blanking on his name right now. I've met him so many times, but he has this knucklehead that is just like, damn. And so every time I see him, I'm like, knucklehead. But then I can't remember his name. So I'm doing my best. But when I see them in person, you remember the bike and then it connects with people and you're like,
What's the bike like?
it's
Let's
kind of
let's
Bobber style. It's
let's try this
beautiful.
experiment. Let's see let's see if we can narrow it down real quick. What's the
It's
bike
kind
like?
of, it's not a total rat bike. He's not NorCal because they trailered in. It's hardtailed knucklehead. See, I don't have
Floorboards
anything.
or pegs?
Oh, I think it's pegs.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
I'll see him again and be like, damn, I know your bike and I forgot your name. I saw him at Born Free. I see him at like the Crispy shows. I'm a monster for names. It takes me a while to get
Oh
them in.
yeah.
I'm
I think
very
there's just so
visual.
many names to kind of
Oh my God.
memorize, and
You
at
go to
least
an
for me, it
event,
gets harder as I get older.
you meet like 60 people in an event, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna have to pick three of you to
Yeah.
remember your names. Or it's the people you hang out with longer. Like we met some really great folks at Paradise Roadshow a few weeks ago, and we hung out with them all night. So at that
Yeah.
point, I was forced to learn their name because otherwise I was gonna look like a jerk. But
Otherwise, it's awkward.
babe, yeah, otherwise it
Hey,
gets really strange. Honey, I mean, I got
Taboo.
a
Like
whole list of pet names, but I try
Rama
not to.
Lama Lama. What's I don't know.
Yeah, I try to be really honest about that though. Like my brain, it does not hold those things, and usually other people are like, oh, thank God you said something. Like, thank God, because in the past I've just like rolled with it, and I've done it so poorly. I used to do ocean rescue lifeguarding. It was like my
Oh
summer
wow.
job on the
Yeah.
beach in Maryland every summer.
I used to
And
do lake lifeguarding.
my rookie week, there's this guy, and he's in my like group, and we're like all potted out. And the last day of rookie week, so it's been a whole week. I'm like, yeah, Mike, go, Mike, go. He gets out of the water and he walks up. He's like, my name is Chris. And I'm like, oh no, the whole time.
That's
And
so
so,
good.
so now
There
if
is
I'm
a
not sure, I wait. And I'm like, if I'm not sure, I'm gonna wait and
yeah.
ask because
There's a really good old Mad TV skit where Will Sasso plays Elvis. And
Mhm.
the whole premise of this skit is Elvis cannot remember his band members' names when he introduces them during the set, and he's always fucking them up. So then they're doing all these memorization exercises with him, and he's getting them right. They all like applause. The punchline is they go and do the show, and he just opens his mouth and a computer just talks all the people's names over it. And in a way, like my brain at this point feels that way. It's like I'll try like to remember everyone's name at a show if I can, but like there's gonna have to be some training for me to really fucking do it unless we spent quality time because you
Yeah.
just get flooded with amazing people and you're like, I have to remember that person's name. Next amazing person, like, who was that again? Like you just
Oh
kind of go next.
man, I
So
know. It's hard, and we honestly, a lot of us look alike. I'll be real with you. Like I met this great four people that we were hanging out with. One of them was named Christian, and so he's got like the look where it's like shaved head, tattooed skull, like covered in tattoos, like very specific look.
yeah.
The next day, they had left something in our booth, and I was like, "Oh, Christian!" And I walk up to this guy, not Christian. Looks the whole thing, shaved head, tattooed, and I was like, "All right, guys, we need some new style notes because I can't tell y'all apart based on style alone." It was dark, I swear. That was my excuse, but I mean, I'm sure I have a weird mullet right now, but I'm sure there's like plenty of like tall chopper girls with like a weird mullet right now to be mixed with. So I'm sure it's not just me.
Yeah. It's awkward when you call someone the wrong name too. Like it to me
So
it really I really feel tremendously bad. And they'd be
yeah,
like, "Oh no, my name's not blah blah blah. It's blah blah blah." I'm like,
great,
"Sorry." Like
cool.
it's just soul defeating. Like
Yeah.
and there's a weird thing about running a company that people follow, and maybe it's happened to you already, or it will, I'm sure, where they just assume they know you. Like they're like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and like they're really good friends with you. And then like how to match that energy in a sincere way
Just play along.
is
You're like,
I just what I
okay,
do. I'm like, "Hey, yeah," but
Dave.
yeah, but it's like you want to be sincere about your interactions, but also you don't want that person to feel slighted that you haven't caught on to who they are yet, potentially.
Because there's people where it takes me a couple times for it to click, especially with the magazine, because I don't always meet everyone in person.
Oh yeah,
Amazing girl Liz. I know her by her like her Instagram handle. I think it's like Veggie Roll Moto, and she's like adorable. But the connection between her like photographed self and in person, it just didn't register for the longest time. Where she'd be like, "Hi," and I'd be like, "Hi," and just blank. And then finally, I was like, "Oh, you." And it's yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, it's weird to have to collapse the digital self with the photographic self with the human because we all look different. I'm sure I look different in print too.
yeah. Well, I'm in this weird one where people don't recognize me because I lost a lot of weight, and so they think I'm a cancer patient or something like that.
Oh my God. Brand new
Fucking
person.
weird. Like, no, I just better nutrition, but it gets better. So remembering people's names aside, which
Yeah,
is
not
a
a
good lofty goal for anyone.
great tangent. Go team.
Where do you want to go with this? You know, you're finishing up issue three, but I'm sure there's grander ideas than just trying to eke one out when you can.
Yeah, I like to set small, achievable goals so that I don't lose my tiny mind. So the thing that I'm saying to myself now is I'm going to do 10 issues, see how it's going. I'm going to do one a year. My goal is to get up to two a year and start getting them up a little
Mm,
bit quicker. I'm starting to achieve that because I'm getting my cadence up a little bit.
yeah, there's a rhythm to it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to anyways. This ton is so fast, you're gonna outpace me. So I gotta pick them up. Um, so I think those are like kind of the loosey-goosey goals. I'd like to. It'd be fun to eventually get some help. I know Amanda Spastiani is giving me some tips on
Mm.
InDesign because I'm making it up as I go. Um, but I think for me, the practice of showing up and continuing to put out this work is right now the main goal. I'm going to keep going. We're going to get at least 10 and then go from there. I think it's an important project. Even if it's not important for other people, it's important for me
There you
because
go. That's all that
I want to
matters.
I got to keep writing. I want to tell these stories. I think that I have a unique voice that actually used to work against me when I worked as a copywriter. They'll be like, "This sounds too Alexa," and I was like, "Sorry," and also sorry to everyone whose Alexa robot in your house just went off. Um, but I sound like Alexa when I write. I sound like myself. I have a
Yeah.
tone, I have a way of writing. It's always been like that. Love it or hate it. I've been hired because people want that way of writing, and I've also been not hired because of that. So I think that it's something I will keep doing.
Did you go to
And
school for it or just self-taught?
my undergraduate degree is in neurobiology. I got a
Well, there you
bachelor's of
go.
science.
That's not
And
writing.
no, it's not. And then I graduated in 2009, which you might remember was when like the economy was doing some rather weird
Yeah, I remember it. It was awful.
Yeah, so I had friends with like engineering degrees that were getting their offers repealed. So I ended up moving out west. I finished school in Texas at University of Texas Austin.
Mm.
Made it all the way to Phoenix. Went into retail there because it was what I could get hired at, managing an Abercrombie, which I do not recommend for anyone who uh, who values their sanity. And then I ended up moving out to Santa Cruz, California, and going into entertainment. And I started running like a space themed production company, all these like raves and things. I'd
Oh,
never
that's
been to,
funny.
but I was like, all right, let's dress up like space ravers and do
You
this.
guys
And that's
hanging out
where
at Pizza My Heart all the time? And
so that's where I learned marketing and copywriting. And those were things that I found my way to, which I think had I had better advisors when I was younger, they might have seen that I would have been well tuned for business or
mm,
marketing kind of path, because the science is still there in marketing. You're still doing tests, you're still running experiments. But I was fascinated by the brain, so I'm not mad that I studied that. It informed me very well in my 20s when I was having fun, like taking drugs and experimenting, because I was like, "Ooh, let me look it up and see what works best. Should
let's
we
see what this one
try
does.
Should I have a snack with this pop brownie or just go raw dog it?" So it definitely served me well. I have no regrets. But it was a path that I taught myself. I don't know when I became a writer. I think, I used to get a lot of feedback when I was in the sciences because there's a very specific way to write in the sciences, and it was always like too flowery, too
Yeah,
not. It was
too
I've
alliterative, too
Yeah. And then when
yeah,
I
too much
learned with
rhythm.
copywriting, you just write how you talk, I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
easy. I can do
Do,
this.
do you write out of your mind's eye? Do you see it as you put it on paper?
I'm not sure. It's funny. I have this on the back of my wall, it's a neon that says fuck off. And it used to be outside my office because as it starts to form in my brain, I have to write it down because if I get interrupted, it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
It's really like it's just as it comes out once I get into the flow. I do find that I write a lot on long rides or when I'm riding.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe not like write but I
You put
work through.
together parts of ideas.
Yeah, the ideas come to me and the way to say it, because I
Mm.
think I'm really just like telling myself the story until I'm ready to write it down. And
Yeah.
then once I have the feel for it, I just sit down and write and it comes out.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
don't,
similar to my approach. Like, I'll think about it for a long time, and then I could see the whole project in my mind's eye and what needs to be written, and I could visualize it clearly. And then once I get to that point, I just jot it down. And
yeah,
it's the same with like other forms of writing for me. Like if I for my master's thesis, I didn't like work on doing notes for anything or kind of walking through it. I just thought about it, and then much to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, chagrin, I sat down for 2 days on a like 48 hours straight and just typed out the entire thing straight and then turned it in. Um, some
oh
people have that, other people don't. They have to really workshop things. They have to use actual writing formulas, things you go to school for.
yeah,
I've been like blessed in my life to, I have a good education, Ivy League education.
yeah.
Um, But I also go and do speeches to people that everything I you need to know about doing magazines or any of this that you could do yourself, and especially if
Yeah.
you're in a punk band,
Yeah.
I have a whole fucking speech about that. But reality is that writing that lands well with people is often like hearing someone speak, and that's the power of why podcasts, which you're listening to one now, and although I should admit I hate them, um, or books on tape are so powerful to people because they're hearing it being said. And some people have that, and this goes back to the neuroscience thing, and this is a long way back to the beginning of your education. Some
Mhm.
people have the ability to hear it in their head as they read it, right? And it
Yeah.
creates a picture in their mind's eye. And other people just literally are reading it and then have to really think about what that means and create that picture or create some kind of context for it. So the easier you make it sound like talking to someone in a
Yeah.
lot of ways is the easier it's going to flow from the page and the more kind of um, tactile it will feel to a reader. At least that's been my experience. I could be totally wrong. But before the ton, I would write for music magazines, all these things. And if you just make it
Right.
sound like the way you talk about music, people will like it. If you make it sound like you're a fucking academic professor, only
Yep.
academic professors will like it because
Yeah,
only
I
they
mean,
talk
I
that
can't
way.
read that stuff. Ew, I can't read that. Not in 100 years. It's too hard. My brain just goes, "Good night. We're not reading this." And I mean, I have studied some of the formulas and stuff. If I have a story that I really want to tell and I'm like, it's not, I don't know where to go, I'll write out the like 5-part thing of like,
Yeah.
you know, what the idea is, what the change is. Because what is a story? A story shows change.
Yeah.
It's from front to end. And so if I'm not sure, I'll just like jot a couple notes to be like, this is the change I'm showing and then go. But I think the best feedback I've ever gotten is that when they read what I write, it feels like I'm just talking to them. It's a
Yeah.
conversation. Even when I have questions, because sometimes I'll interview folks and sometimes I'll send them a list of questions. Or like, I felt like we were just chatting. I was like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Because I
That's the
want,
whole point. Yeah.
want you drawn in. Like, I don't want to bore you. And I know that my magazine or periodical, because it's like annual, is maybe we're more word heavy than some, like dice is just little things and a bunch of like sick ass photos. So
Yeah.
it's just, all different. But I am personally fascinated by the stories themselves. Like
Yeah. No,
what
I think
takes you
we're on
down
the
the
same wavelength, and maybe that's why we work together because
yeah.
we're story based. We're all words. Um, the thing is that, like different ways to impart information. Uh,
Mhm.
the kind of approach that we're talking about is very much like a literary nonfiction approach, right? Like, your
Right.
Gay Talese and all these like great writers of their time, like kind of interviewing people and then digesting it into a story that people then read like a novel or a
Yeah.
short story or something. But there's also like kind of a more journalistic approach where you kind of have your first paragraph's the whole story in a nutshell, and then everything else kind of follows the structure of that and everything. And there's so many ways to do it. But what I appreciate about Rag and what I want people who are listening to this is that it really does follow kind of a story based approach. And some of them could be really telling the story of an individual or like what they've done. And some of them could be story based, like shit talking around a campfire, right? There's different kinds of stories that are presented. And I think that's the power in a magazine like yours is that you kind of have both of those in it. Like you have kind of the tall tale story aspect, but then you have like really factual kind of this is this person and this is what they do and this is why you should pay attention to them. How do you kind of balance that world of like the kind of tall tale like not shit talk but like the kind of like you know everyone has those stories where it's like, can you believe this happened to me? And then little things have morphed in everyone's telling of it because they tell it all to each other in different ways. And then how do you balance like this is the story of this amazing person who's gone around the world on a bike in a really factual way without, there's a balance to having to do that.
Totally. And I have the worst answer to that because I think it's something a little bit innate where I'm just following my curiosity and I love a big fish story more than the next one. I have this friend, one of my dearest friends, Nikki Mosa, and she is incredible. She's an incredible storyteller. She's such a babe, an incredible chef. And I'm not just here to brag about Nikki Mosa, but she is really amazing. But when she sits down and tells a story, everyone is hanging on every word. And she's someone that I really look up to as a storyteller because she has this way of just like dragging you along and giving you just enough details of like, she's the one who like rode a bike all through Vietnam, and she's
Mm.
just a remarkable woman. She'll just be like, I don't know, I'm just gonna like go to France and rent a motorcycle and like ride around for a few weeks. And I'm like, she just blows my mind. But I think the reason it comes off is that I have a natural curiosity for it, but I'm still a scientist. Like I'm still grounded in what happened, and I still want to know like how. Like I want to know how this person built a bike. I want to know how they managed to live on the road for 3 months at a time off only a motorcycle, because there's a part of me that's like, well, I want to teach other people and share that, but also I'm fascinated because I haven't personally done that. I haven't lived off a bike for 3 months. I'm not sure that I personally can, or even that I'm all that willing
Yeah.
if we get down to it. But I love that people are doing it, and I'm so fascinated by that. And I think that's where the balance comes out, because I want to know how they do it. And then I want to know the wild stories about whatever was going on, because both of them feel so important to me because they're the two parts of all of it. Like I've never been to a motorcycle party where there wasn't some old timer spinning a yarn that was completely ridiculous, but still so fun and so worth it. But
Yeah.
then again, I've been, this old timer visits us who lives just up the road from us. He's like, all my friends are dying. Like he also rides this like rad old knucklehead that's just like as it is. He's got a museum of Harleys in his shop. We'll go up and visit him, and he'll pull out these old photo albums. And it's like him and his buddies in the 60s and 70s rolling around on these raked out choppers, just the prototype for what's inspiring so many people today. And you're like, wow, okay, these stories are real. So, I mean, if I've learned anything, it's be nice to your old timers. Go find an old biker whose friends are dying and befriend
Yeah.
them, 'cause
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
the best
Totally.
stories.
Uh, it's sad but true. Um, have you, this is something that we've come across only a few times. Have you started like, I'm going to do this as an article, or I'm interested in doing this as an article, and you start kind of getting into the story and you get down the path, and then there's some red flag, like, oh, this person's actually a motherfucker, like whatever. Like, have you like gone down that path and then like decided not to go with the story? And how do like what kind of litmus test of like what kind of shit you'll put up with when you're writing a story? Because like sometimes people seem super cool and the story seems cool, and then you start getting more details, and you're like, this isn't actually that cool. This is a fuck this. Like,
Funny, I haven't done too much, and maybe that's because, my niche is more like women, and I'm getting a lot of referrals
oh,
at this point.
referral, yeah,
But it was
definitely.
funny, I talked to Bandita about that a little bit. Darla from Bandita
Yeah.
Moto, which is great. Thank you for exposing me to her channel too. I like watched all of her
A wonderful
videos.
channel, and
I
and
know,
if she
me
listens
too.
to this,
She's
I want her
remarkable.
to know I'm a fan of her channel. I probably sent a message. I don't know if I have, but I am a fan, and I told you to go listen to it or
Yeah,
watch
well,
it.
I
So
did. She's in the
great,
next issue. We're gonna get together, and she's gonna come up and visit for an episode of her show here at our
that's
compound
awesome.
at the
See,
Iron Horse Farmstead.
that's
Yeah,
what that's this like synchronicity or whatever
I
woo-woo
call it.
shit you want to talk about in Nevada County that makes things work.
Yeah, we just connect people. But we talked about that too. I was like, what's it like getting people? You ever problems with that? She's like, sometimes people just ghost you, or they like you're chatting and then they go away. And I have had some instances where like it just hasn't really flowed. And for me, I'm not gonna force it.
Yeah,
Like if it's hard, I'm not gonna do it because I have a lot of projects and a lot going on. And if it starts to feel hard or like there's a disconnect in how we're working together, that's usually my first red flag.
yeah,
Being a freelancer for so long, the second I sniff that out, I'm usually like, I'm gonna push away from this a little bit because this feels something's not quite right.
mm,
So I think I have like fast breaks on that that might help, or I just have no time for it to be hard
yeah,
because life is hard enough. I don't need to chase down some diva because it's whatever. But like most of the people that I've worked with, and pretty much everyone is lovely. And sometimes people are too busy, and we can find a workaround. And if we can't, whatever. There's plenty
yeah.
more out. So I have a question for you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You're shooting all the content then for the ton. Are you doing submitted or you're actually shooting them?
Um, it's a balance. It depends on the article.
Nice.
So some people will say, "Hey, I have this bike and this person shot it. Do you want to do something?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, if it hasn't run." We kind of do a vetting process.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's someone I want to do something on, and I know a photographer near them in the region,
nice.
and we'll work with someone. We did a lot of work with a core set of photographers early on, and so we do stuff with them still, like Mark Kirkland. Like we did a lot of stuff with him for years before he started doing stuff more with Dice and everything. And he's a good friend. Andy Knight in New England, he was shooting a lot of our New England stuff for us. Uh, we have an art in this issue coming out. We have Lewis Staff in England doing the trip out. But I do shoot a lot of it myself. Um, and I balance between digital and film. I never bought a digital camera until about 10 years ago. So
Wow.
I was still shooting only on film until about 10 years ago.
I love
And
film.
the um, availability of developing locally dried up. So I would have to drive to get it developed or go to
Yeah.
the college and use their facility. I didn't want to do chemicals in my own house because I have a wife and animals, and photochemicals suck. They're just
Oh,
awful.
dude,
You're
that stuff.
basically just shedding off silver nitrate, to get to the image, right? And so that's a kind of a gnarly thing to have in your house, health wise. And so there came a point when I needed to get a digital camera, and that ended up, I wanted one that was as close to my film camera as possible, and that ended up being a Pentax KS2.
Nice.
It had an automatic aperture adjustment ring. The motor on that died. It died. So then I went to the Fujifilm X Pro 3, which is just like shooting on film.
Cool.
I still have a rangefinder that's not digital at all. It's a straight view. And so I still kind of shoot in that regard. And then I always bring usually one or two different cameras with me, depending on what I'm doing. Um, so it is kind of a balance of a lot of different things. Some issues I have no photography in, some issues it's a lot of my photography. Um, I'm not precious about photography, and my wife always who's the publisher of the magazine and actually runs the magazine, is always very nice about things. Whereas like I I'm not a good self promoter about stuff like that.
Mhm.
Even in bands, I toured for 20 years. I had other people who would do that because I just feel uncomfortable promoting myself in that regard. But I've had photos in the National Portrait Gallery. I've, had shows all over at a certain part in my life and career, and that was wonderful. But like, I'm also perfectly comfortable not
Right.
having people think I'm a photographer and just buying the fucking magazine.
That
Like,
explains some of the draw to print. And I imagine it's like me, where the first issue comes out and it's like full of your photos because you're like, that's what I got. I got all this film. Let's put it in something,
yeah,
and
I
kind
thought
of
our first
evolves
issue
from
was
there.
garbage because like I did it and then I just picked it apart so brutally, and I think issue four is where I started actually being really like, okay, this has legs. I'm going to keep doing
Yeah,
it. Um, and we've been on a quarterly basis for the most part the whole time. So
nice.
um, yeah, I'm more of my own worst critic than probably any editor should be
Are
in
we
a lot of
all?
regards. I mean, everyone probably is, but it's one of those things is like we want to make sure that we have good collaborators. We want to make sure that the photos kind of fit our vibe, which is a much different visual vibe than like the kind of no contrast highlighting bike magazine
Right,
photos that we are thinking of it from a different aesthetic point of view. So
totally.
working with photographers that have like that in mind. And also I really give no one bound like do exactly this or anything like
Yeah.
that because that's limiting creatively and
It's more
often
fun
there.
that way because you don't know what you're gonna get. Like I know I have soft goals in some ways. Like one of my soft intentions is to start showcasing more women actively riding because I
Yeah,
think that's really common to get babes on bikes. I think I emailed you about that. So I have this like thing in my head now. Um, it's not that I won't feature babes on bikes, obviously. Like I have this wonderful partnership with Katie Loftus from Ride to the Warehouse, where she's like, you can use all of these shoots that I've been doing. They're having their 10-year anniversary for Ride to the Warehouse this year in LA in I think June. But that partnership's amazing. And a lot of them are posed, some of them aren't. Like there's a whole mix of it. And as I've like seen more of her catalog and as I see more photos, I'm like, man, what really draws me is I want to see more women riding, like
yeah,
actively in those photos, like
yeah,
in the breeze or not, because I know that really tangles it. It's awful, but it looks good. You know what I mean? Like I want the action shots. Like we're not, and maybe it's a little personal little like thing under my skin, but I've seen so many in instances where we are decoration on a bike.
oh
And
yeah, and you
the
want to break that down.
yeah, the women I know shred. They can ride
Yeah,
circles around so many people. And let's face it, like you get to some show and everyone's ridden like 500 miles to get there. Who's tougher? I'm going to say the women because they're the ones that came there on a Sportster. And you've got these Dyna Bros being like, "Oh, I'm really tough," and the
yeah,
girl's like, "I rode here 5,000 miles on my Sportster," and you're like, "Do you have kidneys anymore? Are they soup?"
yeah.
So we're
Well,
tough.
yeah, I
They're out
think
there
like
riding Sportsters. They suck.
breaking down the decoration
Yeah,
is key. I also think that everyone, like every magazine, should be featuring more people riding bikes rather than just photo shoots of bikes. But that's just my aesthetic opinion. But breaking down decorations difficult because it's such a part of the media culture, not just my bikes, but like everything, like fucking band shoots where they're put in the woman up front just for selling records, right? Like there's
sex
so
sells, baby.
you want to tell their story and you want to humanize it, so you're kind of breaking down this kind of enculturated world of woman as a sales product and not a human, right?
Totally.
So I think like having writing shots goes a long way toward that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, especially when the canon of magazines around choppers is like half naked women like grabbing the pipes, and I'm like, honey, we don't do that. Those are hot.
yeah,
Like, I know it's just for the pose, but it shows such a lack of like awareness around it, and for me, that's like, I don't just want to be decoration. I've been to plenty of shows where these like old timers will be like, hey, honey, you want to take a photo on my bike? Like, nah, dude, I'm good. I just did a photo shoot on my bike over there for like Ride to the Warehouse. I'm good. I got
yeah,
my photos. Like
yeah.
not I don't need that. But I don't want to like shame anyone who wants to take photos on a bike because maybe
No,
that's
no,
the big
no.
thing. If your bike curious and you want to sit on it first, yeah, come on over, sit on my bike. Let's see.
Well,
Let's get
yeah, it's one of those things. It's
your
like
wheels going.
it's a weird line to draw, right? Like we did a photo shoot early on. It was the woman. It was the article was about the woman. She identified as it was a woman.
Hmm.
Um, and it was her bike. She did everything on it. She ran her own business, and she told the photographer, "I really want a photo of me doing my lipstick." Reflecting off my air cleaner because I polished it and cleaned it just so I could do that.
Great.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. It wasn't the focus of the article or the photo shoot, and anyone who read it or saw the other photos in context probably wouldn't, but that photo set off this shitstorm of people being like, "Oh, you're sexist." And it's like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah. First of all, we're a woman-owned magazine. Second of all, find a fucking magazine that's doing this content like regularly in a normal like media space at the time. I'm so fucking thankful that there's Rag Mag, there's Dark Horse, there's been several others, Clashy Trashy Poser, all those they've all kind of come around, um that it's kind of cluttering
Like,
up the fucking space so that there's more stories of people other than fucking
yeah.
bros. But coming down hard on it, it's like, but that was that person's choice and how they wanted to express themselves. And as an editor who's a male, I'm not going to tell any fucking woman how to express themselves. That's
Yeah.
fucking stupid. So if that's really what they want to do, that's fine. I also think that people should mind their own fucking business. That's just me.
Rule number one. Maybe that's rule number two, and basically don't be a dick is rule number one. I'm not sure, but I think those are kind of the same rule.
Yeah, it's kind of like the house rules, like I'm always right. If
Yeah.
I'm not right, see rule number one type thing, which my
Right.
dad had
Yeah.
that in our garage when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I bump up against that where I'm like, is this how am I representing women in the right way? But I'm like, you know what? This is collaborative with women. I definitely have Christina from She Wolf Moto like touching up her lipstick in her like bat wing mirror on her like,
Yeah, it's
bike, but it's like it's amazing. And
rest
she
in
has
peace,
her
She
lips
Wolf
are all
Moto, by the way. That was a wonderful brand, and I wish her the best as she's closing it down.
hell yeah. I mean, that was great stuff, but I think she's like growing and I'm stoked for her.
But as we leave, where can people find you? When does the next issue come out, and what are you excited for this year?
What am I excited for? Okay. So I'm Alexa Roan, which you can find on Instagram under that. It links to all of my projects. But Rag is Rag Moto Mag, MOTOMAG, on Instagram, and it's ragmotomag.com. That's probably the easiest way to find me. What am I excited about next year, this coming year? The next issue should be out in a month. My plan is to go to print in February. I'm just wrapping up the last ones, and I think I could possibly even get it out by the end of the month. I mean, get it to the printer by the end of the month, which then, as you know, takes a while. Um, but I expect it'll come out in February. I really wanted it ready for Chopper Fest. I'm not sure if just how fast I can be, but let's hope. Let's hope we'll have it at Chopper Fest, which is so soon. Um, I have some goals for this year. I'm not sure. Other than, issue three and maybe getting out issue four, I want to just keep writing more. We just got a hardtail kit at Chopper Fest, a little lucky win there. So I think I'm going to hardtail my Sportster. I'm going to change that up a little bit. I have plans for the Pussy Wagon to make it more fun, easier to ride. After riding a 9 over Springer, like it's a beautiful Paco, but I rode that to Bisbee and I think it broke me a little bit. I was like, you know what? This bike is going to be super uncomfortable. I may as well hardtail it, but I think I'm going to put a more stock rake up front just to make
Yeah.
it easier to ride because it is so heavy. Um, and I don't always have the hands to deal with that every day. I've been riding
Hmm.
my pretty much chopped softail every day, and it's just so easy. Where I'm like, I don't want this to be hard anymore. I'm too old for this. I don't but I just want to munch some miles this year. If the sun is shining, we should get out on two wheels. Like run your errands on your bike. I don't know, strap a milk crate to the back. Like
Hmm.
it's worth it because you never know when life is gonna like throw a spud wrench in your face and like make it really hard. So I think that just getting to keep on two wheels is the most important thing for me going forward because it's fun. And every time I come home, I'm like, wow, weird. I feel so much better after riding. A little throttle
I think,
therapy.
yeah, I think that's the perfect way to wrap something up because it's such a
Yeah.
positive way of going. And I thank
Yeah.
you for your time.
Yeah. So everyone out there, turn off this podcast when you're done and go for a ride.
You have been listening to the Do You Even Chopper podcast. The Do You Even Chopper podcast is a product of the Ton magazine. You can find us on the World Wide Web, which was invented by Al Gore for cats, at www.thetonmag.com or just thetonmag.com. You can find us on Instagram, which was invented to shame your friends into thinking you're having fun, at instagram.com/thetonmag.